It's not very, 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 very excited. It's super, 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 super excited.
Hopeful.
What up, guys? It's Astro Manny here, back at it with another video. Or is it another video? I don't even know, man. We're doing a reaction to Avenger One's huge combat changes video, where we're going to be talking about the multi-crew range changes for. Let's explain that better. It's range changes for shooting multi-crew ships, where if you're shooting from a really far distance, you're not going to be doing the damage you used to. I don't know anything about it. Let's watch the video. That's the best I can give you information about it. Okay, so it's just some changes that they're going to be doing here and whatnot.
Hello and welcome back, guys.
So I don't know how to do a reaction video. We're just going to do it.
Video in a few months, but like somebody a lot wiser than me once.
I got to be salty apparently.
If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Robbie, have you gotten outside your hangar?
But today is much different. Today I have a lot of really positive things to say, and I thought I might as well bring it out into the general community and have us start the discussion. I have been playing the Avocado test flight build for 4.4, and I have noticed a few things when it comes to the weapon balance and where the game is kind of pushing to. And what I saw made me very, 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 very happy. I have been very on Star Citizen's combat flight model,
very happy,
and general balance, and I guess you could say overall feel for the project. This, I think, is very well documented. I think people are very aware that I'm very critical of these things because I genuinely really like the game. I want it to be successful, and there are some clear problems with the flight model, combat system, weapon ranges, all this stuff, which is always in flux. But if we don't give CIG proper, good, objective feedback with lots of examples, then we can't.
This Paladin footage, bro. This is Paladin footage.
It seems like all that yakking has paid off. It seems like CIG is starting to get it. So I want to, when they do something right, I've told you guys this before, when they do something right, I want to take a second to be like, look, Sig, you guys nailed this one. This is kind of
that's what I try to tell you. I try to tell you guys that all the time. You know what I mean? I try to tell you guys that all the time, where it's like, hey, yo, bro, listen, they did something right, guys. Let's focus on the fact that they did something right. And sometimes it's hard for people to do.
And so today I want to talk to you guys about the completely new weapon balance that we're moving to, what this means for us, what this means for combat and Star Citizen, and what things are going to start looking like. And hopefully
do something very
in
great.
The future we continue to move this direction because this is a very healthy direction, not only for multi-crew,
a lot of
but
Paladins,
for fighters as well. Okay, so let's first start off with the stats. What exactly is changing with weapons specifically?
What's changing?
So as of right now in live, most weapons are sitting around the 2,500 to 3,000 meter range, which is an exceedingly long distance for combat. This causes a lot of issues. In the current build of live, having such ridiculously long ranges on fighters allows small ships to engage large ships essentially risk-free. So here we have a nice, beautiful roll of some Paladins,
which we agree on a lot.
Which we did some testing on when the Paladin was first coming out, and we noticed that this entire gang of 6 or 7 Paladins died to a group of 4 Gladius. None of the Gladiuses died, and all 6 of the Paladins were shot down, one by one. And this is because of 2 things. One, fighters can engage at long range, so you can't actually get your projectile to hit back on a big multi-crew ship. This has been the core issue of the problem when it comes to multi-crew balance. So no matter what CIG says or sees on their stats, in reality, anybody that has a modicum of training in combat and PvP is going to be able to easily kill multi-crew ships.
Right.
Now,
I
this
agree.
example here that you're seeing is a fight at very close ranges. And this is kind of what CIG wants us to fight at. But the problem was, because you could engage from so far away, you never needed to take those fights. So what they've done is they've completely rechanged and retuned the weapon balance and ranges for the 4.4 ETF build. And what they've done is they've reduced ranges for all guns, size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to less than 1,300 meters. Size 5.
What? Okay. So what he's saying right here is different from what Caleris. What he's saying right here is different from what Caleris said a moment ago. I mean, I think he's going to explain further, and it's going to be more like of what Caleris said. But right here, right on the screen, is what he's saying specifically, that the range itself is, say, size 1 is 900 meters. So if we're talking Gladius, 1,200 meters of range on your Gladius, that means Laz can't shoot me from 1,500 out anymore. That's exactly what that means. But all right, hold on now. I bet he's going to talk about what Caleris is
Sit
talking
at around
about,
13. Size 4s,
but that's
probably
nuts.
around 1,250. Size 3s are around 1,200 to 1,300. Size 2s are around 1,000 to 1,100. And size 1s are 900 to around 1,000.
That's nuts.
With lasers only. Okay. Now, ballistics have a different methodology. Ballistics are anywhere from 200 to 300 meters longer range than their laser counterparts.
Sure.
But again, lasers take power, they build heat, but they're unlimited ammo. Okay. This caused, again, a lot of issues with the live build because you could sit at long range and engage forever, indefinitely, against a large capital target, which means even the Idris would lose to a small pack of fighters if given enough time to get there. So, with the change in weapon speeds, with the change in weapon ranges, what this is going to do is force large combat engagements to be closer together, because the only way for fighters now to engage and apply damage will be at roughly below 1,200 meters, which, if you've been paying attention to stream and all the stuff here on the channel, is still within range of return fire from turreted systems. So, for example, on a Polaris or an Idris or a Vanguard or even a Paladin, if you stay just above 1,000 meters, you're typically safe. No matter how much they're shooting at you, you're fine. But now it's going to force fighters to do two things. One, they're going to have to engage in a space that they can also receive damage on, which is something that I have been begging CIG to understand. And now they've done it, which is going to force fighters to do two things. One, take passes, which means they're going to engage at less than 1,000, get damage on, and when they receive damage, they're going to fly away and come around for another pass. Or they're going to have to get super, and I mean super close to the multi-crew ship, where it's almost basically sitting on top of it.
I love how this Polaris was over here ramming this Idris, and he turned and he's like, all right, we're going to go after this Polaris and just ram this Idris.
And orbit the enemy ship at a range that the turrets have trouble tracking because they're just so close. So you're either going to be really, really close, or you're going to take a pass, bang, 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 take some damage, and fly away. Okay? This is exactly what I would have done if I was CIG. If you gave me the reins and said, AV1, what do we do with this? This is exactly what I would have done. Okay? It's not a perfect solution yet, and there are still problems. Okay? Turrets are still going to have some trouble because now also their ranges are reduced. So I'm going to give two solutions that CIG should think about when it comes to building on this in a good direction. Okay? As of right now, all weapons have essentially the same stats. So a Panther that's put on a Retaliator, or an Idris, or a multi-crew ship, as a Panther put on a Gladius, an Arrow, and other ships. This is a problem.
What did you say, Claire's?
Robbie.
Because the platform, like a Fury, is significantly smaller and can avoid more damage. And the Badgers that are put on a Fury do the same damage and have the same velocity that, let's say, Badgers that are put on a Connie. Now, the Connie has much less.
So they're going to change this now?
Thus, we talk about the same problem we've been talking about for years now, where a smaller ship engages larger ship, and there's a kind of disbalance between risk and reward. Now, fighters cannot use turrets unless you're a specific kind of heavy fighter and vice versa, right? So what you can do, if I was CIG, is one of two things. One, make all turrets bespoke. In a sense, like we take Panthers and put them on a Connie turret. Instead, let's remove the turret entirely and replace it with a bespoke turret. So for example, let's say you created an Aegis hammer, an Aegis Dagger 3 turret or whatever it's called, right? This is just an example. And that specific Aegis turret could be fit on any turret slot on any multi-crew ship.
He's talking about making all turrets bespoke. I think that's a wonderful idea. Like what he's saying is he's saying that that way there's like the multi-crew situation of turrets versus a Gladius having Panthers, like he's saying right there, right? Like he's talking about the difference between a Gladius having Panthers and a Connie having Panthers. But I think that's the easier route right there is what you're saying. Solar Wind is that the turrets should have modifiers for weapons. I think that's the easier route of what we're talking about. The turret should have modifiers. That's a good route because I think having each turret be specifically named and specifically bespoke would be too complicated and it would be overwhelming on how many turrets there would be. Right. But the situation about having turrets be modifiers is you have to be careful on this kind of situation because some ships have turrets on them. You know what I mean? Like the Mustang itself has a turret on as its lower nose gun. It's a turret. It's not a weapon. It's not a weapon hardpoint. So there's like I'm using the Mustang as an example. A better example is the Hornet, right? Okay. The Hornet has weapon hardpoints on the wings. Okay. The Hornet has weapon hardpoints on the wings, but its nose is a nose turret. Right? Its top is a top turret too, but we're not even going to talk about that. But the nose itself is a nose turret as well. So you would have to be aware of those situations as well if you use the term of modifiers for turrets. Because I think a Connie turret should have increased range, right? But a Hornet turret should not. You know what I mean? So, and maybe the ball turret for a Super Hornet should have increased range, maybe, but that's a remote turret. So then you got the difference between remote turret and a man turret, right? Same thing with like the Scorpius. The Scorpius is a remote turret where the Hurricane is a man turret. So it gets complicated. So let's just move on and before we go too far into that.
Size, 4 and above or whatever. So a Connie would instead would have this new bespoke turret, which would have unique weapons. Okay. And if you make 5 or 6 of these bespoke turrets, then you can interchange those turrets between all these different multi-crew ships. But these turrets would have very specific weapons. So for example, these turrets would have different stats. Their lasers would go a little farther. They'd have a little more velocity. And thus it would solve the problem of what we talked about before on this channel, the asymmetrical engagement, where light fighters and small fighters, can engage from these very long ranges. So these bespoke turrets could have different stats, which would allow them to apply damage to these smaller fighters because they'd have higher velocity, longer range. It would make it more risky for these fighters to sit at long range and try to peck away at you because now they're going to receive higher velocity fire, effective fire, judging by the size of their ship. And the second option is you add hull bonuses, like how EVE Online did. Now, there was a rumor going around that CIG was flirting with this idea, and they may still do this. So, for example, the Hammerhead has Rhino size 4 lasers. They have the same velocity and stats that a Rhino that you put on a Buccaneer or a Talon. This is the problem because, again, it comes down to the asymmetrical engagement where smaller ship engages bigger ship. I can engage from longer range, and he can't hit me back. So what this can do is you can give a bonus to something like a Hammerhead, which says any laser weapon or laser repeater.
Look at this. Fucking Pisces versus Stinger. Pisces wins, bro. Stinger's the worst ship in the game.
Gets a 50 to 100% bonus in weapon velocity when placed on the Hammerhead, right? So there is a specific bonus to the ship hull itself, which changes the stats of the weapons that are placed on it. This, as well as the bespoke turret option, are two very realistic, very viable, and straightforward ways to fix the critical issue of Star Citizen combat. But I gotta say, folks, playing with these new ranges, playing with these new things in the 4.4 PTU has made me super, super, super excited. We are finally getting...
It's not very, 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 very excited. It's super, 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 super excited.
Hopeful that
there's the very
iteration of the flight combat system that we've heard rumors about will also be moving in this direction. Because
but I'm excited too.
Absolutely nailed the weapon balance. Well, they definitely went in the right direction. We're not done yet, and we got some room to improve. But it is a huge, huge, huge step up from the current system.
This doesn't say anything about deflection damage.
The way the game plays and feels.
If it's just a straight range decrease,
I can't tell you much more because there is NDAs.
That's a huge
I can't show you this
range
in person
decrease
because of the NDA restriction. However, I'm very excited, and I think you should be too. We have brighter days coming for Star Citizen, and it's all thanks to people who've been pushing this and all the fans out there coming to the stream.
That poor Stinger, bro.
Making sure CIG hears the right feedback. So thank you so much. If you've been part of this, we couldn't do this without you. All right? So I hope to see all you folks out for the next stream. I hope to make more content on YouTube here now that things are really...
That poor Stinger, bro. Okay, so again, to wrap this all up, I mean, that sounds great. You know what I mean? The whole adding bespoke turrets, I think it's a little much. I kind of agree more with the second part of what he said. Like the Hammerhead itself has a modifier special ability where the Hammerhead itself can have an increased range on its turrets and guns. I think that's a more closer, easier option for CIG to do. So again, I think CIG can easily just make it, okay, Hammerhead can shoot farther than a F7A, you know what I mean? So I think that's a much simpler way of putting it. Maybe it has something to do with their flight blade or something that goes into it or whatnot. There's all different ways of doing it, but I think Solar Wind talked about some turrets are just magic. You know, I don't know. Who knows? But if I can't wait to actually look at this right now with the distant changes. That sounds absolutely amazing to only be able to fire from 1,200 meters. Bruh, that's the way life should be anyways. I don't know. I think they should. I think that's a really small distance, and I think bullets should travel further, but I think it should be like literally almost no damage. You know what I mean? Like the spread is what we talked about a little bit. Omnis, you said less spread or spread or whatnot. I think the problem that they're having that they talked about in Avenger One's old video about the new master mode weapon balance changes is how weapons spread out in a cone now. And the reason why multi-cruise ships do less damage at distances to fighter ships is because the fighter ships are so small and the cone out damage, it just does very little damage to a small fighter ship, while the cone hitting a big ship is still going to hit the entire target because it's bigger. And I think they should be taking that away, because I think there should be spread, but it should be like much faster. Like if you're shooting a Connie from 1,500 meters away, you should be doing like 10% damage. You know what I mean? Like that, you should still be doing damage to a Connie from far away or an Idris from far away, but it should be so small that it is basically zero. Is my point. But that's cool, exciting news. I didn't even know about this. Let's get back to the other stuff. We can turn this into a video if we want to. Thanks for the content, A1. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys go check out A1. He's live streaming right now. So make sure you guys are following him because he's a wonderful pilot and has lots of information. Most of my information comes from Avenger Squadron. When it comes to PvP stuff, I watch them closely, work closely with them, and are good friends with them. And that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. So make sure that you're following him. Like, comment, subscribe. Back to playing with Calaris.